Hello, Martin. Um, yeah, I thought I'd just send you a voicemail because honestly, I'm too lazy and too tired to just write it all out, and this is a lot easier for me. So yeah. Anyway, hi. This is my voice. um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I'm really happy to hear about your work. Sounds really cool, like to have your own team and, to sort of do your own thing. I mean, it does sound demanding, but I'm sure it comes with a lot of privileges. Like, I'm sure you can set things up more the way you want to and, have more control over how you do your research. So, I don't know. It does sound exciting, but yeah, I can imagine it comes with a lot of responsibility. So it has its advantages and disadvantages, as all things. But yeah, I'm really curious to hear about how things, you know, work out, how things present themselves, and but I can imagine, yeah, trying to find something in London. I mean, I've never been there, but I have friends who've been there and they said everything's super expensive. So, yeah, must be an exciting city, but living there, I can't imagine affording that. So, let me know how things turn out. Um, University is going okay, I guess. I mean, it's demanding to. Honestly, I'm sitting here in front of my computer and I've got two term papers that I have to finish. A few deadlines are approaching soon, and yeah, I mean, if I'm honest with myself, I just started way too late, and I've been procrastinating a lot. And like with one of the courses, I don't even know what it's about. Like I know vaguely that it's something about web like web programming, but the course was really complex. And even though I had like a good professor, he was very engaging, and you could tell that he was really interested in the things he taught, but still, like, I just didn't understand anything, and it was way too much information for me to process afterwards. Like, I tried to sort of, um, work with what are they called? With fellow students, I guess. I'm not sure what the correct word is for people studying at university, because there's a word in German, but I don't know, like the pendant in English. Doesn't matter. The people studying with me. Like there's two guys that I get along with pretty well, and we have sort of a study group, but they are way more prolific and way more advanced in the things we do, and I mean, we get along well, but when they try to explain these things to me, yeah, I'm just a bit lost. Like, I realize I'm lacking sort of a broad base that the other people there have. I mean, I'm eager to learn things, but still, like this course, I didn't understand anything. It's more about there's so much technical detail that yeah, I just lack like an empirical connection to. Like, there are things that are taught that you can only really easily grasp if you've applied them in some way, and I just haven't. I don't have the experience, so it was all very theoretical, very abstract for me. And yeah, now I have to write a paper, like a term paper about a course and a topic I really don't understand, and that's a bit frustrating. And I've got like a week left for that paper, and I still have to finish another one before I start that one. So yeah, I procrastinated like way too much. And yeah, I'm sort of hoping that I mean, that's actually a really bad habit I've acquired, because with all that AI stuff, you can think about what you want, but it made a lot of things a lot easier. And I caught myself leaning on, or like setting up a workflow that leans a lot on, all those AI tools. They're good for some things, they're not so good for other things, but like yeah, I've just realized, like, when you write these stupid term papers, you can do so much like you can lay a very broad foundation with all those AI tools, and I mean, you know, they're not super reliable and they hallucinate a lot of information, but at least for like IT stuff, they have a very solid foundation. So, you know, I when I let it write something, you know, I just cross-reference it with other stuff, and then I compare it with other information. Like 99% of the time, it's more or less correct, and then I just have to specify a few things or adapt a few phrases. And yeah, I'm far too relied on these tools. And my hope is when I finish this one paper that I actually understand and start the other that I don't understand, that yeah, I have some sort of Deus ex machina moment, and it all just falls into place. I know that's a very unrealistic expectation, but I think my problem is that it has worked way too often, and I haven't, as to say, fallen on my face yet with that strategy. So maybe I will this time, and maybe then I'll adapt my learning behavior. We'll see. So yeah, that's university, chapter university for you. And yeah, what I mentioned about guys, I don't know. It's just it hasn't really been my year, to be honest. I mean, I've never been that lucky with men, but I think I mentioned that I broke up with my previous boyfriend, or like he was my first relationship. We were together for 2 years, and I mean, it was a good time, and I think we both learned a lot from it, and we're still on like friendly terms. We still meet up occasionally for coffee. It's okay, but I don't know. It's just I've realized like the how would you call that? I feel like I'm sort of I have this problem that I just say maybe I have too high standards, or maybe I expect too much from people around me, or like specifically in that dating topic from the men I want to date. And I don't know, I've been sort of disappointed a lot lately. And I don't know, I guess I mean it's not like there's been a vast change in the past few years. It's probably more like I've gotten older, and now I've realized, okay, I'm approaching 30. Like I'm 29 now, I'll be 30 next year, and I just feel like I don't know. Maybe it's because everyone around me is, getting married or having children. I mean, okay, you can only, partially compare heterosexual couples with like queer couples, but still, it's a strange feeling when everyone that you like, the people in my friend group that I'm really close with, they've been with their partners for, they're starting to reach or pass a decade now. And I don't know, I guess like I do feel like I'm a very, very confident person, but part of me does, yeah, starting to question if maybe there's something like fundamentally wrong with me. I don't know. Um, it's very kind of you, what you said. Thank you very much. I can only reciprocate. I think you also seem like a very considerate and empathetic person. Um, it's just, I don't know. I sometimes feel like I'm sort of a mess. I think I'm a difficult person like to be around. I mean, maybe this is a bit too psychological, but um, maybe it's a product of my best friend, or like my closest friend. She studied psychology, and she's just finishing up her I guess you'd call it an apprenticeship. I don't know. Like the German analogs for these things aren't quite clear cut, or like quite exactly comparable to to different places in the world. But yeah, let's just call it an apprenticeship. So she studied psychology, and then she had this apprenticeship that took another 5 years, and that's like the standard minimum amount of time. So to become a psychologist, you basically have to study 10 years. You have to do a bachelor and your master in psychology, and then you have to have that apprenticeship, which lasts 5 years. So she's been studying for 10 years to become a psychotherapist. And yeah, I mean, we've been friends for like basically forever. And I don't know, it was very enriching to, have her go that path. And we always talked a lot about, the things she learned. And I guess we both, not to sound arrogant, but I guess we're both somewhat emotionally intelligent, I'd say. And I don't know, we reflected a lot, and I think I learned a lot about myself in that time. And oh, I know that there's like that I have my peculiarities and I guess some weak spots. Like I know I'm definitely on the autistic spectrum, which there's been a lot of behaviors that were difficult to explain for me when I was younger, and with the years I just sort of realized, okay, you're just somewhat autistic. Um, and I guess part of the symptoms or results of that is that I try to communicate very on the surface, if that makes any sense. So I just, if I were like to try and make it sound positive, I'd formulate it as something like I value integrity very much. I value authenticity. Um, but what I mean with that is that I just appreciate when people are, very honest with their feelings and very straightforward with their thoughts and feelings, and just say what they think. And that's just something I've tried to practice on my own. And just to me, it feels like authenticity and integrity. And I guess it's sort of what I expect from my surroundings as well. It's sort of become normal for me, and that's what I mean with maybe I have too high standards indirectly. I don't want to sound too, I don't know, narcissistic, I guess, but I've just realized, like especially in the past few months, because I've had a few negative experiences, that most people just don't really operate on that level, and it really, yeah, frustrates me, I guess. And I don't know. I'm wondering, like, should I try to change what I expect of people, or especially of men that I date, or is this just something that I have to deal with, that most people won't fit that mold, that most people operate on a more, on a more, how would you say that? Most people just communicate with more ambivalence, or that they often don't mean the things they say, or that they often behave in ways that are maybe, I'd say, strategic or socially advantageous, but not really as they internally feel. And that is something I have a really hard time dealing with. And you know, I guess if you'd asked me like a year ago, I'd say, yo, these people just lack integrity, and they can't be honest with themselves, and they're not courageous, and they care too much about what they think. But I guess, yeah, I've just come to realize, or maybe it's just my perception has changed, that maybe this is more normal, and maybe the way I operate or think is difficult. And I don't know, it's just proven a challenge to find someone who thinks differently or behaves differently, who's confident without being arrogant, who, understands what other people think without caring too much about it, who's, empathetic, but not easily swayed. And I don't know, I know it sounds maybe too idealistic, or maybe that's the thing I mean with, maybe I demand too much, but maybe I'm disillusioned about thinking that I have these qualities, or that I'm capable of like holding these seemingly opposing, let's call them competencies. Um, but yeah, it's just, when I do go on a date with a guy that like I intuitively feel doesn't fit that mold, I'm just really, yeah, I'm easily bored. I'm easily, just immediately think sort of, okay, this guy works this and that way, and he operates this and that way, and it just feels incomplete or underwhelming. And then I think, okay, maybe you're just being arrogant. Maybe you're not giving someone, the time they deserve to present themselves. And then, I do try and, spend time with someone, and it feels like giving them a chance. And then I'm just, disappointed again because either it turns out my intuition about superficiality yeah is is confirmed, or yeah, I don't know, or I can't just be as excited or as enthusiastic about them as they deserve, and then I just feel bad about it. And I don't know, maybe it's an issue with myself. I recently talked with my best friend about those feelings, and she said, and we are rather honest, and she said, okay, maybe I'm just insecure about feeling but yeah, actually insecurity itself, like for instance with my ex-boyfriend, he was a very kind and very cautious person. He was very reserved, and he was basically the exact opposite of how I try to behave, like socially. And I actually really appreciated him for that, because he was always very kind to people and very he tried to respect everyone's feelings. And I don't know, part of me, I guess, admired him for that, because that's something I feel like I don't really do. Like, even though you were nice enough to say that I seem considerate, I think, like, when I interact with people, like, personally, I can come off as very inconsiderate, because always try to be honest with my thoughts. And I appreciate it when people are honest to me. And I think that is often interpreted as rudeness or as apathy, which I don't mean. Like, it's quite the opposite. That was, for instance, an issue with my boyfriend, that he always tried to, or he acted or behaved towards me in a way that he thought was considerate, because he wasn't entirely honest with me. Like, not in the way of that, I don't know, he cheated on me or lied to me or something like that, but more like on an emotional level, he often wasn't honest with his feelings towards me, because he thought that was a considerate behavior. And to me, it felt like the exact opposite. It felt like I wasn't worth being honest with. I didn't feel appreciated, because I felt like, he had to, I don't know, he had to, be careful how he behaves towards me, because he felt like I couldn't handle it. And that, I don't know, that felt, that to me, that was something that prevents intimacy. But I understand now that people just perceive that differently. For some people, being considerate or not always saying how they feel or what they think is a sign of respect and intimacy. But I just realized, for me, it's quite the opposite. And I understand that it's difficult to build up intimacy with someone when, like, their way of thinking, or maybe their socialization associates crass honesty with rudeness and not with intimacy. And I think, yeah, I feel like that might be a problem on my part, and not on the part of, on not the problem of the opposite side. And yeah, so I don't know. I've had a few, like, I wouldn't even call it dates, but just a few experiences with guys where I just realized, okay, the things that made me fail in that situation, or maybe like made the situation itself not work, was that, yeah, I was either bored really fast, or I felt like I wasn't offered the intimacy um, that I'm looking for. And part of that, or like part of another problem that I identified, I guess, is that I realized that, the other aspect, the getting bored part, um, I think, also often draws me to men that seem mysterious, or I'd say emotionally intransparent, because, you know, I mean, yeah, we'd have to go the psychological route again. I think part of the problem is that, like, I don't even know if you want to hear all of this. I'm sorry if I'm info dumping on you, but you don't have to listen to all of this, and you don't have to refer to everything I said. Just take this as a as a podcast, and don't, just ignore it if you're annoyed by it. But anyway, yeah, I think part of like my dating behavior is a result of the relationship I have with my father. I love him to death. Like I strive to be half the man he is. He's a wonderful person. I love him to death. He has incredible integrity. He's just has great values. He cares for others to a degree that is incomprehensible to me, and I admire him. But when I think honestly about my childhood and my early adolescence, he was very emotionally distant, and I had a really hard time reading him, and he didn't really show affection the way I guess fathers classically should show affection, or maybe like an emotionally mature father should show affection. Like I don't blame him. Like he had a rough childhood as well. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like psychologically speaking, I'm probably drawn to men that are as emotionally intransparent as my father was, because that's something like not that I per se appreciate, but probably just something I'm familiar with. And what they say, you seek the kind of affection and love that you're familiar with. So yeah, that's that's what I'm left with at the moment. And the ironic thing is, like, this is something I only recently realized with those rather negative dating experiences that I had, which were partially the result of only being drawn to men that are emotionally intransparent. And when guys are mysterious and when I can't get a read on them, and not to sound arrogant again, but I think I have like a pretty good what do you call that? Like I think I can read people pretty well, that just due to experiences, like not from an emotional level. It's just I've had a lot of jobs where I had to interact with like a million people, and just from a purely systematic point of view, I think I've learned to like recognize and read people well, and just correlate things about their behavior with things about character and biographies and so on and so forth. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But the thing is, when I can't get a read on someone, they are really exciting and to me, and I'm just drawn to them. And as it turns out, who would have guessed, people that are hard to read and that are mysterious, as I would, call it esoterically, usually aren't like the most emotionally available people, and the most how would you call it? Or let's just say there are usually reasons why they aren't that emotionally transparent, and sometimes it's they've had their own adverse experiences, not their fault, but even if it's not that they're explicitly hiding something, often what ends up happening is that those guys, that when you do try to get to know them and try to build up intimacy, this behavior, or like, just let's just say this behavioral pattern, which leads to being hard to be read, also leads to being hard to overcome, like as in trying to get to know someone. And then I end up frustrated, because what I initially found attractive about them is something that prevents like proper, honest, and direct communication. And yeah, that's also something that happened with my ex-boyfriend. Like, as I said, he's a wonderful person, but I really had to like lure every thought and feeling out of his nose, and it was exhausting. Like in the long run, I felt like I had to do the emotional work of two people, which I think shouldn't be the case in a relationship. Like, both parties should somewhat participate, but maybe that's just, I don't know, my idea. And I had to lure things out of him that felt like baby steps to me. And the irony is, to him, it felt like huge like concessions, and just, you know, insane levels of truthfulness and honesty that he found incredibly rude. and that were really hard for him to realize. But to me, it was like, yeah, okay, and that's just how you feel at the moment, or that's just your thoughts, and that's okay. And to him, it was, I don't know, it's just, yeah, I think it speaks a lot about how differently people perceive things, because he was very harmony loving, I guess. And to him, being honest and saying things that are tough to hear, or things that just aren't that romantic, or that, that don't have some idyllic nature about them, to him, that felt like actively creating disharmony. And yeah, that's just, it's crazy to think that we perceive that exactly the opposite way. And yeah, okay, I forgot what I was trying to say. Like, okay, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, maybe you can sort of, get a picture of my dilemma, and why I've been having a hard time with dating. And yeah, it's just starting to sort of, yeah, become more apparent, as I mentioned, as I'm getting older, and I'm starting, like, when I was younger, it was, to me, I could look at it pragmatically and just say, okay, you have these standards and you expect a lot of from the people around you. So just statistically speaking, you're not going to find a lot of people in your life that you feel truly intimate with or truly comfortable with. And that's okay. I'm young, I have time, I'll meet people, you just sift through them and find the people that you feel comfortable with. And I don't know, I feel like I was riding a lot on that optimism and that hope, that things would turn out this way. And I wouldn't say I'm lonely per se. Like, I have a group of friends. I have this one best friend that I mentioned. She's great, and I have my D&D group with guys that I meet regularly. But still, I feel like, however, you know, despite having this social circle and knowing a lot of people, I feel like this level that I want to share with somebody, that I want to feel comfortable with somebody, um, I'm just missing. And yeah, as I'm getting older, guess I'm sort of losing hope to find that connection, because I mean, yeah, you just got to be realistic. As people get older, they're more set in their ways, and I mean, I'm the same. I've noticed myself becoming more strict and more uncompromising, and just sort of a difficult person. As people get older, they just tend to become more set in their ways. That's normal, but the indirect result of that is just that people become, less capable, or there's a smaller chance of people finding each other with sets of values or opinions, or just behaviors that are compatible. I think it's a lot easier when you're younger and you're still growing as a person, and your personality is still forming, and you still have these, you're still waiting for formative experiences. But as you get older and as you solidify as a character, um, yeah, the chances of finding someone that had similar experiences to yours and that understands why you view the world you do, um, they just decrease. And that's just life. That's just realistic, I guess. Um, but you don't really feel it when you don't feel it that intensely when you're young. So yeah, that's my point. I guess I'm starting to feel it, and it's a bit. I don't know. Do I call it depressing? Maybe a little bit. It's just, I guess maybe sobering is a better word for it. Um, I mean, I do try to look at things sober as much as I can, but I guess there's a difference between, yeah, doing that from a purely pragmatic perspective and actually accepting that on an emotional level. And I guess, yeah, my time has come to confront myself with that on an emotional level. And yeah, it's weighing down a bit. But I don't know, maybe it's all just phases, and I view these things this way today and maybe differently next month. Who knows? Things can always change, but I guess the combination of having to just right now work on these really, yeah, boring and demanding tasks, and at the same time just having in the back of my head, I'd actually rather find some sort of intimacy in the world, and I just feel like I'm failing at that. I guess that combination kind of sucks right now. But yeah, I guess I can laugh about it on some level. Yeah, but that's about it. Or I guess that's your sort of the long and short of it. I'm really sorry for just blabbering on, but as I mentioned again, you don't have to refer to everything I said. Just take this as a tired and drained person talking to their phone at the end of a long day, and that's okay, I guess. Anyway, Martin, I hope you had a good week. I hope you started well into your weekend. And yeah, I just hope you and your partner make things work. I mean, you mentioned that things, that you guys had some challenges and that you're trying to, work things out. And that's really great to hear. I admire that. I'm not sure if I'd have the persistence for that, and I respect when people do. So good luck with that. And you don't have to answer with a voicemail. Please don't don't feel pressured. In case that thought came up, just forget it. Yeah, I'm happy to yeah, see you write, or just be in contact. And I just hope you have a good weekend. Anyway, that's it for tonight.